I really do look forward to the day that we can all be in the same room.
Agreed.
And May, are we ready to go?
Correct. We are recording and live on YouTube.
Great, thank you. Thanks. Up to you, Tracy.
Thank you. Appreciate that. My name is Tracy Metzger, and I'm chair of the IDA board. I'd like to call our regular meeting to order. The minutes of our previous meeting were distributed and reviewed. If approved, I'd like a motion to move those forward. Thank you.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Second, Darius, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, Mark, our financial report, please.
Thanks, Chair. So in the month of November, we did have some agency fee revenue come in, approximately $33,500. The other revenue was, of course, interest income. The expenditures were either approved by the board for the 2020 budget or approved during the year. With that, we are expecting some fee revenue for December. So ending projected cash balance for the IDA, approximately almost $2.9 million.
Thank you, Mark. Any questions? Okay, with that, I'll move forward to new business. The first item of business is the Clinton Avenue Apartments LLC, the public hearing resolution. I will excuse myself as I do have a conflict, and so I would ask that Sarah, if you could handle this, please.
Great, and we will move you. We'll move you into a waiting room for that. And Tracy, as you mentioned, you have a previously disclosed conflict with the applicant having them as a tenant, and so we'll work on getting you into that waiting room. There she goes, and we will take it from there. I'll turn it over to Andy.
Sure. Excuse me. What we have at hand here today is a resolution enabling the agency to hold a public hearing in regards to the application and associated materials that we had discussed at length at the Finance Committee last week. And I can read that out for you. We have a resolution authorizing the Chief Executive Officer of the City of Albany Industrial Development Agency to hold a public hearing regarding a proposed project to be undertaken for the benefit of Home Leasing LLC.
I'll move it.
I'll second.
Okay, and prior to moving forward, we do have a little bit of discussion related to the matter. Andy, I know I had followed up with representatives of the applicant on some of the questions that had come up last week and wanted to run through a little bit of that. While he's prepping for that, I just do want to note that this application has been the discussion of numerous previous finance and board conversations as well. So there's been ongoing staff and board review for that. But Andy, if you want to jump into some additional detail.
Absolutely. And I will note that multiple representatives of the applicant are online with us today. So if I misspeak or I miss something, by all means, Adam, Brett, please jump in and fill in any blanks. So based on, as Sarah alluded to, the discussions we had last week at Finance Committee, we got some more information on not only the phase 2, which is the matter at hand today, but also the previous project, phase 1 of the development on Clinton Avenue. The construction is complete for phase 1 on all 209 units. Leasing is currently at 170 occupied units, and they expect to be fully leased by January. In regards to the percentage of the previous residents that returned to phase 1 upon completion, so those that were temporarily displaced, 75% of the previous residents did return into the renovated new units. The breakout of the units for phase 1 consisted of 2 studios, 125 one-bedroom units, 70 two-bedroom units, 11 three-bedroom units, and 1 four-bedroom unit. Phase 2 consists of 9 studio units, 39 one-bedroom units, and 13 two-bedroom units. The net new affordable housing units for phase 1 was 209. And for phase 2, it is 61 for a total of 270 net new affordable housing units as a result of both phases of this redevelopment. As far as the applicant's marketing efforts, the first step in marketing for an affordable housing project regulated by HCR is developing an affirmative fair housing marketing plan. That marketing plan has to be approved by HCR and by the Fair and Equitable Housing Office. Such a plan is developed to guard protected classes against discrimination. And I believe this plan is in place. It includes specific marketing efforts approved in the plan, and they expect, I believe, to have a similar plan in place for phase 2. In addition, there's some additional marketing efforts, some more conventional marketing efforts, advertisements online, such as apartments.com, Craigslist, platforms of that nature. There's some signage on the street, and there are leasing banners on Clinton Avenue advertising that there are either units available or coming online soon. 2 more quick things. The average 10-year turnover rate is typically around 15%, and I believe that's what they've seen thus far throughout the project, phase 1, and expect it to be similar for phase 2. And I believe the applicant is also in the process of submitting a low-income housing tax credit application now, which will be due in mid-January, with the expectation that awards will be announced at some point in May. Should phase 2 be awarded, it would be approximately a 6-month period to close, with an expectation that construction would start promptly in November of 2021, subject to change here or there, but that's the general timeline. And
Great.
those are the updates.
Thank you, Andy. All right, with that, we do have the motion and second on the table.
I would like to note for the minutes that this is a 30-year pilot that has been constructed in order to conform with a low-income housing tax credit. Over the years, we have tended to try to shorten the length of our pilot agreements. This is something of an exception for a very good reason and a very good project.
And consistent with other low-income housing tax credit projects that we've done as an agency.
Exactly.
Thanks, Susan.
I just want to also stress, we talked about a little bit at the finance committee meeting, but this is a project, as well as the first phase with home leasing, that really goes a long way to preventing gentrification of the neighborhood in Albany, which I think is very crucial. It prevents speculators from coming in and buying up these properties and turning them into non-affordable housing. So I'm in favor, which is why I made the motion, and ready to vote.
Great. If there's no other discussion, we can take a vote on the matter. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries unanimously. We'll put that out to public hearing.
Sarah, excuse me, I missed who moved and who seconded at the onset. Could you?
Susan and Darius.
Susan and Darius, okay.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Sure thing. We can bring Tracy back in.
Thank you, everybody. You're being an important part of this project and the previous one.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Tracy, we are back in your capable hands for the REP LLC.
I just got here, Sarah, so if we're going to the rep, I need to step out.
All right, we'll just swap the waiting room. That's great. And again, Bob has made a previous disclosure of his firm's affiliation with the applicant, and as such will recuse himself from discussion and voting on the matters.
Tracy, you're on mute if you are going ahead there.
Oh, well, thank you, Lee. Yes. Let me just move to the resolution. This is a resolution consenting to mortgage in connection with new market tax credits, the REP LLC project. Andy, you want to give us a little background?
Absolutely. So this project was approved agency in late 2019 and closed with the agency in February of 2020. It involves the renovation of a existing structure at 251 North Pearl Street into an approximate 300-seat theater with a cafe. The matter at hand is strictly administrative in nature, involves the request for the agency to consent to mortgage involving the securing of new market tax credits. I am not sure if a representative of the applicant was able to make it here with us today, but we also have obviously Joe Scott with us today if there's more in-depth questions on the matter.
Thank you, Andy. There was a nice letter included in our package as well, which provides the background behind this request, which obviously was vetted through the Finance Committee as well. So with that, do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
I'd like to make that motion.
Thank you, Lee. Do I have a second?
Second.
Susan, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any abstention? Thank you. With that, we can bring Bob back. Welcome back, Bob. I'm just scrolling through my notes here. Okay, next we have the City of Albany Industrial Development Agency Professional Services Agreement Resolution. Do I have a motion to approve this?
So moved.
Second.
Darius? Thank you, Lee. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? Thank you.
We've got the contract for services economic development.
Yeah.
Next up is the next resolution.
Yes, I just got to that. That's
So
on
much
the-
paper.
Page 82. I don't like to print all this out, you know, I'm doing it on my computer. So with that, we have the City of Albany Industrial Development Agency Contract for Services Approval Resolution for 2021, Capitalize Albany Corporation. Do I have a motion?
I'll
So
make it.
moved. I'll
And
second.
Sarah and Joe, I think I will recuse myself from that vote, please.
Thank you, Sarah. All right, I'm sorry, do I have a motion?
Dominic made the motion and I seconded.
Dominic made the motion. Yay. Hi, thank you, Darius. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any opposed? Thank you. Resolution passes. Do we have a second resolution relative to? Oh, this
We've
is
got a
this is
third resolution, the Contract for Services Industrial Development Agency, which is the third and final, and that is the essentially the three-party agreement with the CRC and IDA.
okay. So it's the City of Albany Industrial Development Agency Contract for Services Acceptance Resolution 2021 Capital Resource Corporation. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you, Bob. A second?
I'll second.
Dominic, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. Resolution passes.
And Chair, I would just note that all three of those were discussed at, was it only last week? Last week's Finance Committee meeting at length.
That's correct. And I believe all board members were present at that meeting as well.
Correct.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to clarify that I am recusing myself from all three of those
Yes.
due to my involvement with Capitalize Albany Corporation.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you, Susan.
And just for the record, we're abstaining. Susan's abstaining on all three, correct?
Thank you, Joe. With that, I would like to just jump to other business because we do have some updates there and we'll come back to our last item of new business. Sarah?
Sure. Thank you, Tracy. We, under agency update, I did want to give just a very brief status report on the grant programs that we have been working through as an organization. The Small Business Adaptation Program, we do have for the Industrial Development Agency awards made. 30 of those 48 awards have returned their grant agreements back to us, and we're working through those with them. We did have a further 7 of those awards that were made to nonprofit organizations, and we have had some back and forth with the CDBG CV funding source on how to effectively deliver CDBG funds to nonprofits versus small businesses. So a number of those nonprofits have determined that they will sort of wait until they have both contracts to send the IDA one back in. So effectively, we've got 63% of those grant agreements back, but it really is more like 70% or so when you add in the nonprofits that we're in contact with on that. That's pretty standard for a grant program with small businesses at this point. And Nora and Virginia are doing a really great job working back and forth with each of those businesses to help them get through that contracting process and move forward with their adaptation projects. So that is moving along very well. It is absolutely a tremendous help to these businesses as those conversations are coming through. You can definitely feel the tension with the businesses given the current environment. And those grants will be very helpful. Again, the IDAs was specifically for reimbursement for PPE expenses. So those are going to start going out the door shortly, and we'll start getting funding actually into the hands of these small businesses based on those grant agreements. So we're working towards being in good shape there.
Sarah, do you think that those funds will be dispersed within the next couple of weeks?
It depends on the applicant's timeline. Some of the applicants had made purchases following that August 18th date, and so they've already completed their projects, and we would expect to start reimbursing them immediately based on when they provide their paperwork back in. Other projects were anticipating expenses moving forward, and so they may not have incurred those expenses yet. So they do have, I believe it's 6 months, I might be quoting that incorrectly, to complete their project. So we'll be processing those. We'll have closeout in October of next year. We'll have the final report on everything.
Awesome, thank you.
Great. Under compliance update, we are gearing up for 2021. That has started already, and Andy and Virginia have been working on getting that teed up and prepped. If you can believe it, we're only 3 months out from our PAAA reporting, and so we're starting to work with our active projects there. Also under compliance update, we do annually provide an annual report on economic development services to the Industrial Development Agency from Capitalized Albany Corporation. So we give you just sort of an overview of activities for the year. As you know, I had emailed around, we have not done obviously our in-person sort of festive annual meeting where we talk about projects and go through everything. And we've sort of shifted to a digital annual report this year, which you all have, that goes through some of the highlights from 2020. But I'll give you just a snapshot quickly for that. We did start the year with a 100% staffing increase from this time last year. So just as we were getting everyone onboarded, not actually even everyone. Tom started with us just after we went entirely remote. So that get to know you process and onboarding process was interesting throughout the year. And then we did, of course, have to figure out the logistics of going entirely remote. We did all of that and still kept up with our strategic plan and kept up with economic development throughout the year. And we've got a number of sort of good news items to report back on through that. I think one of the things that you're most familiar with as we just walked through our business development efforts for the previous year. We did undertake the Support Small Business Initiative, which coordinated just about a dozen regional, state, and federal economic development organizations to help share information and get information out to local businesses. That effort in and of itself has really assisted more than 300 small businesses throughout the city in finding resources, parsing through information, keeping up to date on regulations, and just finding sort of a warm person on the other end of the line to sort of talk through what's going on and find information. We did provide 60 awards for our small business adaptation program through both the IDA funding as well as CDBG funding we received. And those grants were provided more than 60% to disadvantaged business enterprises. We did have 30 other small businesses that received some of our other grant programs, whether it was Amplify Albany facade programs or the emergency program that we rolled out in the spring. And that all accumulates more than $700,000 in small business grants that we were able to move forward this past year. On the strategy side of the house, this was DRI, Downtown Revitalization Initiative implementation year. And first quarter was really started with jumpstarting some of those public infrastructure projects throughout the Clinton Square micro neighborhood in downtown Albany and Arbor Hill. We did see movement on those projects quarter 1, and we've continued movement, particularly on Capitalize Albany's project at Clinton Market Collective, really starting to wrap up that final design of what will be a local pop-up marketplace moving forward. And so we're completing design here shortly on that as well. Similarly, the Skyway, we always like to tout anytime it wins awards. The design that we completed with Capitalize Albany Corporation for engineering and design of the Skyway did win a statewide engineering award, and they have submitted the final plans for final design and construction today. And so that project is moving forward and should begin construction in spring of next year. So those are all actively moving forward. You also know are familiar with the progress to date that we've made on the Liberty Park Initiative for the Upstate Revitalization Initiative as well. And we've been working with the Port of Albany as they make their bid for offshore wind. And hopefully that will be a big component of 2021 moving forward. Finally, on the real estate development portion of our activity, we have been working with projects that are actively under construction. That totals $680 million of investment underway currently, with a further $200 million in the pipeline. And those projects are citywide projects. Over the past 5 years, we've been able to bring the number of affordable housing units that we've assisted collectively to more than 1,600 affordable housing units. And we finally crossed the $100 million mark for our downtown revitalization or downtown residential initiative that we started more than a decade ago at the corporation. We hope to hit that 1,000 unit mark in 2021, which will be a huge celebration and also a big milestone in terms of being able to attract additional commercial investment that comes on the heels of density. For the Industrial Development Agency, that recent investment, obviously as a group, we've been involved in that as well. And that has generated $390 million of investment and has brought or will bring more than $28 million of revenue directly to the local taxing jurisdictions as part of the payment in lieu of taxes that each of those projects will make. So really all of that, and I tried to run through it as quickly as I can, but that's a whole heck of a lot of activity, and that's a lot of momentum that is really building a solid foundation for us to move forward with 2021. It's totaling more than $1 billion of recent activity citywide that will put us in a solid place to move toward recovery. Things will look brighter eventually, and we've got a lot of momentum to help get us there even quicker than otherwise. So that's that in terms of the annual update, trying to leave a bright glimmer.
You mean that's it, Sarah?
That's it. That's it. Exactly.
You know, it's just incredible when you look at the totality of the investment that we have spurred. Capitalize Albany, I think, has done a tremendous job. And I just want to comment too, the reports that are coming out, as you said, instead of having the annual meeting, I think that they're really well done. They're fun to take a look at. It's a quick snapshot, and it's a good way to remind the region, of what we're doing and what's been accomplished. So you should be very proud, Sarah, as well as your entire staff.
this team is really incredible, and it is them, driving this every day. And so the faces that you see around this Zoom and that you're familiar with, it is tremendous what they've been able to pull off during a global pandemic. So thank you to all you guys, and it's nice to have that recognized.
Yes, thank you. Okay, with that, we'll move back up on the agenda. Obviously, it's Capitalized Albany Corporation. It's the Liberty Park condemnation. We had the public hearing last week. Joe Scott, do you want to take this?
I will probably need to step out for this. If somebody could move me into a waiting room because of my affiliation with Capitalized Albany Corporation.
Right, and we'll be moving Capitalized Albany out also. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
As per our usual procedure. Thank you very much.
Working on moving everyone now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I didn't want everybody to move before we said happy holidays, but.
We'll have CRC after this, so you'll see us again.
Okay. You keep reminding me of that, Sarah.
No, I was the first one that jumped the last time. It's impossible to keep straight.
Uh-huh.
Still have a couple of us.
Just let us know when you're ready, May. Yep, good.
All set, Joe.
Great, thank you. So Chair, with your blessing, I'll start off.
Yes, please.
Great. So a report on Liberty Park. We had the public hearing for this matter last week. A number of you attended the public hearing, which was great. So you heard the comments received firsthand. There was only one person that made comments at the hearing. That was counsel to the owner of the property. We took a transcript of that. We took a recording of the report, and we also had a steno. The transcript has been prepared. It's in draft form. I received it this morning. We're reviewing it, and we'll have copies to you early next week. I've had a separate conversation with the chair, and in order to, I think, put the board in a position with respect to moving forward, I had suggested that we do a brief memo addressing some of the issues, or actually all of the issues raised during the comments identified during the comment section of the public hearing, and we'll be working on that. Similarly, we have received written comments with respect to this. Those are referred to in the two newspaper articles regarding the matter, and we'll make those letters also available and part of the record. With respect to the appraisal report, we've had several conversations with the appraiser inquiring as to the status of the report. He's had some significant health issues over the last 2 or 3 weeks, which has created some delays. Based on our conversation with him earlier this week, we expect to have it in any day. So I would expect that I will be having significant conversations with the IDA chair, Tracy, over the next 2 weeks to plot out what and discuss what our agenda will be for the January meeting of the IDA. I would imagine that we'll have something for your review at the Finance Committee meeting in January, and then something for your review at the full board meeting in mid-January. So with that, I'll open it up for any comments or questions. I want to make sure that you recognize that this is an open meeting. It's being live streamed. So if you have technical questions or dollar type questions, I would suggest that we go into executive session. But I think with respect to a 50,000 foot discussion of where we are, we're proceeding along the process that's permitted under New York law. The holding of the public hearing is an important part of that. We've done that. We allowed for public comment. extensive public comment from the Sellers Council. And you'll have a written copy of that so that you can go through it. And again, as I had indicated previously, based on my discussions with the IDA chair, we'll have a connection with respect to what our response is to each of the comments made during the public hearing. So with that, I'll pass it back to you, Chair.
Thank you, Joe. And I do think it's important. I think almost all of us were at that public hearing, and I want the board to be completely confident in how we have proceeded so far, and also in terms of the proposed move forward, if you will. And again, as Joe indicated, we will receive the transcript and memo. I would think we'll have that next week, Joe.
You'll definitely have the transcript next week. It may take us a little bit longer to do the memo. Next week is a kind of a short week. We'll try to have something to you before the holiday, before the Christmas holiday. But if we don't have it to you by Wednesday for Thursday, Christmas Eve, we'll have it to you early the following week. But this will be you will receive this well in advance of our January meetings.
Thank you. And I'd just like to add too that if at any time any board member would like to give me a call to discuss things more specifically, I'm happy to talk with you. Any other?
Similarly to council, absolutely.
Yes. Any other questions or comments at this time? Okay, thank you.
I don't have any questions, but I'll just, thank council and everyone who's putting all the time into this so that we can, proceed in a, reputable manner like we always do. So thank you.
Thank you. Maybe the paper will pick up on that. Okay, with that, I think our business has concluded for the IDA. So do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Bob, I'll second.
Thank you, Bob and Lee. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. With that, we can move everybody back in and move forward with the CRC meeting.